Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, we just got four pretty decent episodes. I'm not gonna say which one was my least favorite right now, but I think I'll save it for last. But Accelerator this week, man, holy crap. I, uh, I was hoping that it would be entertaining, but this is kind of rough to see. This feels like we're watching Accelerator a couple, like maybe a week or two after his surgery on his head. I don't know if someone could like confirm uh, if this is like taking place as far in the story as the main character has gone, like with the whole ridiculous stuff we just saw in the last season, or is it more or less the whole entire fact of him not being in that, like, not that day and age, but like somewhere in the middle before it, and he's kind of nerfed, you know? Because if you look at it, he did use some of the abilities that he used in the newer season, but at the same time, he never used it to its full, like, nearly as much as the potential he used it before. He did sustain some damage in the final, like, the in the index show, but it shouldn't be this like problematic to him is my only like concern of how this show is allowing all the characters to get away by, acting as if he's completely, like destroyed or something along those lines. It's kind of annoying. And at the same time, it makes sense, like there's not too much else they could be like, oh, he then destroys these guys because he's way stronger than them, way quicker. Even though he does have a handicap already, he's better than these people, regardless of what they try to do. And yet, no, it's like, oh, well, how about this? We'll just make him very, very weak in the grand scheme of like his injuries, the things he suffered from, and it's going to be the true thing that hinders him from, making a big showcase on this show when it comes down to actual his battle prowess. Like right now, people can look at him and be like, "He's this guy's trash." You know what I mean? Like Accelerator hasn't done anything since like the first, like the girl with the ice. Like that's the last thing he's done. Every other time he's been heavily nerfed and they just escape him. So it's kind of hard to believe that this is still the same character that, is usually takes no L's besides like the ones he needed to take to grow a little bit in the character progression. But then all of a sudden now here he is just like catching L's in his own show throughout the whole entire arc of this. So it feels like there's a lot to be shown in just this part in general. And I guess that's the main reason why they're kind of just slowly giving us all of this information the way that they are. I can't really tell as of right now, but if that is the case, hopefully it plays out well because right now it just feels like they didn't know how to make a good conveying story without him being in a position to um, be himself, like be strong, be ridiculously broken. And that's kind of my only like gripe with this week's episode is just how this is becoming the formula of how people escape him. Like everybody is just getting away scot free because of some injuries that supposedly he didn't really show any real like stopping and hardcore, like, oh, I can't even catch up, I'm gonna faint. Like he's fainting and stuff, but in the index show, this man is taking on people that rivaled, they have like the names of gods and stuff, and he's capable of fighting angels and stuff. So that's the type of thing that is, belittling of his character through here, which feels like they should only be tying in his story from before we got to understand how he reached the level that he was at, helping out with the main alliance or whatever. This is what he was up to before that. This is what his body was doing to him in every like comprehensible battle he was getting into. It was being a hindrance to him and stuff like that. So I like it, but I don't know if other people will. Let me know if you guys are still on board with it. I mean, what, this is like the third episode? Somebody's just escaped because he was using his power and they were just like, oh, well, deuces. Or he faints, or he just happens to have a flashback to something that was, really bad to him and it slows him down enough for everybody to get away. It's getting really weird, and I understand it because more or less he's going to probably kill off the people that, end up getting in his way, the people that are the problem as of right now. Like, that's just his character. He doesn't usually let a lot of people live. So it would be kind of cool to see him, let loose that. And that's why they're like, uh, all kind of messing up this narrative of him being weak and or like, I'm a monster, I'm a villain, I'm a killer, I'm a dealer. I could rhyme. But all of a sudden, you don't look like a killer, a monster, a villain when you are catching all these L's to the weakest people of all time that can't even put a scratch on a body that just woke up and maybe has full control of its body. I mean, this girl now that was on the verge of being burned into nothingness by this organization, she now is up and active. It's almost as if whatever um, whatever caused her awakening was probably due to what she's been through, like everything that's happened to her in her body, and then the contact of this girl. You know what I mean? Because she she said this was a person. She's like, this is someone that's still alive, this and that, and it gave me that feeling that uh, if she feels that way, she when we see there's two different symbols. There's one in her eye and there was one that popped up on her chest, and it felt like the one on her chest was the one on the paper we saw that was bad, or something she uses as well and she probably took over it, and then the one in her eye might be a little disguise behind uh maybe one of them are laying something further in the line of if she gets taken over, if she goes unconscious, something like that. If anything happens to her, she loses control, that green symbol we saw on her eye might, unless they're both connected, the one on her chest and the one on her eye is to connect and then completely throw out what I said. But yeah, she is seemingly very important because of what I was saying is if she could take out these guys, oh, then that's nothing. Accelerator should be. No, I actually shouldn't say that because she could change her operational patterns of using 60% of her brain just in the sense of tracking, smelling, finding the trail that they need to follow. And then the other thing she said was she could put all of her like body or like functionality into her muscle fibers of her legs. It would wear them out, but she could catch up to a car that's going, its max speed probably in 180 seconds. So that is some ridiculous power, ultimate power. Um, and because of that, it makes me wonder where her overall character is going to lie. If the necromancy chick is probably going to live with this girl, like if they separate from the Accelerator, it's probably just going to be her and this girl, going through together and forever, partners in crime. They'll probably be together, and then Accelerator is probably just gonna have to be sticking with Last Order because you see how ridiculously cute Last Order is. Guys, stop it. She's so dang cute. Holy crap. So Accelerator's no match for her, and she'll always be around. But to see one of the Misakas are kidnapped by this guy who gets away from a fainted Accelerator from his wound opening up on his head, we will just have to see how angry he truly gets, and the scientist actually wants a piece of that pie, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's getting real interesting, and I think the scientist is probably going to be the first cannon fodder for death for Accelerator, and I am fine with that. I really hate his character already, sucking on lollipops thinking he's the best. I'm the best. But yeah, with all that being said, my anime, hey! Well, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, evening. I will be dropping Dr. Stone a little bit later. I got to go out, grab some food with the brother. And then after that, I'll be back to talk to you guys about that Dr. Stone. So with all that being said, have an awesome one, and peace.